Hey everybody, welcome back to another What Have I Seen Lately. Trying out a little bit of a different setup for today. I'm actually going to move this over here a little bit. There we go, just so we can have some space right here. Um, so I believe we're on day 4. Yeah, day 4. And I seriously hope the camera is in focus, because I don't look into camera often, so I'm seriously hoping that this is in focus. Um, so I will look over a few times to make sure. Not right now though, because I'm going to look up something real quick for the review. Um, but funny little story while watching this movie. That film that we're going to be talking about today is The Invisible Man. Specifically the 1933 version. I believe the first rendition of the story. Um, I believe so. Um, Directed by James Wall, who you guys would know would do Frankenstein, as well as uh, did he do Dracula? He did not do Dracula. My bad. But he directed Frankenstein. He also directed Bride of Frankenstein, um, and The Old Dark House, which I've not actually heard of, but he's worked with Boris Karloff quite a bit. Who Boris Karloff would also be notable for the Mummy, the original Mummy. So, um, and apparently he was gay. I say this because of the time of which the movies were made. Um, Apparently he was very openly gay, supposedly. Um, hmm. But um, but anyways, I just found that notable just because of the time frame the movie was made in the 30s, and the acceptance of such a thing. Um, but before we get into the review, I just want to mention a funny thing. Um, there was a point in the film where, because there's a couple of British extras and people that are in the film. Um, at least I presume they're British. Um, and I made a joke while watching it, 'cause sometimes I like to comment, on like outwardly, not just inwardly. Um, and there came a point where the British word for underwear, right? Now, I'm not going to say it because I'll leave it here so you guys know what I'm referring to. But after saying it once or twice, I honestly thought I was saying the N word because they sound pretty much the same. Um, and Currently, I'm like mentally telling myself that I did not say the N word. But it was like, what the, like, you know what I mean? Because I've heard that word before, and I even tried to pronunciate it correctly, and it still sounded the same. So, um, I think it's just without the accent, it just sounds really bad, you know? Um, so, yeah, because I wasn't thinking of the word. Um, I was thinking about that British word over here, and I made a joke, and it just, wow, it just sounded very, very, very similar to another word. Um, so yeah, I'm just like mentally trying to tell myself that um, I did not just say that. Um, so, um, Funny thing, um, and leading into that, The Invisible Man, is pretty self-explanatory. It's about a a man who is invisible. They detail his journey towards insanity, and that route being with selfishness and with desires to like take to perhaps take over the world and to be seen in a certain way, um, and he goes around terrorizing citizens and locals for the sport of it. Um, may or may not be the results of a lab experiment gone wrong. Um, and it stars Claude Rains as the Invisible Man. And I have to say that he's easily the best part of the film. Uh, he's 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 very charismatic. I mean, because it's all to do with the voice, you know. Because I mean, you literally can't see him, so I mean, they make it a point where he can, you know, dress up and you can see him, like in terms of just clothing, and then he can like do certain mannerisms and stuff like that. But when he's just not in the frame, like when he's not in the frame at all, it's still super intimidating because of his voice, because of what he's doing, you know. Um, like that, I think is I think that really tells you a lot about the performance, you know, and how good of a performance it is. It's super exaggerative and it's super corny, but it's I think he realizes that, and he's just committing to that, and with that you have something that in turn is actually quite engaging. Um, the practicalities, the visuals are just incredible. I mean, you have to consider when this movie was made in the 30s, and just seeing the type of work that's being done here on a visual front, it's astounding. I mean, and there's like a mixture of like variety of visuals. Like, I believe there's a small bit of VFX work being done, um, and then tons of practicality. You got like model cars and trains. Like, it's just amazing, you know. Because I believe the look of like the invisible part, I believe is that VFX, like, or are they like there's something else that they did to get that effect. Like, I'm not entirely sure about that, um, but it's amazing. Those portions are astounding. I mean, even when you see like in terms of its craftsmanship, how you see them capturing the character's presence when he's completely invisible. You see like little things get knocked over, and my favorite part in the film is when he lights a cigarette, and you just see the little cigarette in his little cigarette and the little puffs of smoke. Just, just really, really amazing. Um, and that's pretty much where my my love for it sort of ends, because um, it's not to say what I'm about. It's not to say that I'm setting myself up to say that it's a bad movie. I think that it's best judged though as a comedy, because if you were to view this as horror, I think that you'd be walking away saying that this is ridiculous, you know. And I don't want to hear that it's because it's the 30s. I mean, Dracula, by comparison, is a much better film than this is, because that movie more relies much more on tone and atmosphere, and has also more dimensions being utilized. With this, it's pretty straightforward. It's very cut and dry sort of stuff, um, but it also bears more of a mentality of a silent film. Like, it's been a long time since I've seen Dracula. Um, I'm pretty sure that sort of sensibilities were there, but it's very heightened in this sort of film, um, or in this film, um, and it makes me think that perhaps it should have just been a silent film at the end of the day. Um, I know that this was in the 30s, so this was like I forget when the year exactly when sound was introduced, but this was within a transitional period. We'll just say that it's an early sound film, I presume, and it's still like owing still utilizing the old ways and not yet committing to the new ways. So which again I don't mind, but I think that in under the the using going for a sound film. There's a certain expectation for a certain approach versus that of a silent film, because there's like a lot of exaggerative stuff, especially with the other cast members, like Claude Rains. He's doing something that works really well because of his commitment. The other people, I just feel like they're doing it. They're just doing it just to do it. Like they're just kind of there just to do the acting. Like especially the lady at the bar. Like I wanted her to shut up so bad. At some point, I actually wanted her to die because she was just so annoying. Like she was just being like overly dramatic, being like wow, wow, just like all the loud crap. It's like, oh, just stop, you know. Like in some ways, the spotty performances, we'll just say, kind of also give more merit to what Claude Rains is doing. So, by comparison, but Claude Rains alone is just still doing great work. I think that it's also, I think that the structure is not to its benefit. I think that it would have worked better if it was done from beginning to end and not capturing a present moment and then going back to the past to make light of present events. Like I wish that it was more like we start at the very beginning when he becomes invisible and then that that progression towards his insanity. I think that would have elevated the horror elements more, because again, as I said, it's a comedy, really. I mean, it really is a comedy. And to a certain extent, I think the film knows that, or at least it's like, it's providing chuckles. Like it understands the kind of the outrageousness of its premise, and just on a technical level, I think that mostly the edits are pretty choppy. Like it's a film, I'll put it this way, it's a film that feels edited together. And that's a big problem for me. With all the scenes that play out, you can just tell that, everything is just like thrown together, Like it doesn't feel like it has real solid consistency. It just feels like scene, 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 And that's not the greatest feeling, And it's strangely fast paced. Very unnecessarily fast paced. That's the way I'll put it. Like there's no reason I feel like this is something that needs to be done much slower. And I also feel like an extra like 20 minutes would have probably helped. Cause it just feels like, again, they just cut it down to where like the best they can, where it just feels like scene, 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 get the point across out, I think that it would have benefited more with a little bit more time given. But as it stands, there is, a lot I think that's really fascinating about it. I love the framework. I mean, I'm a sucker for black and white, so obviously the aesthetics are great. I really adore the variety of visuals being utilized. Just the practicality, the model trains and all that. Like it's just, that stuff's really cool to see because you don't see that stuff anymore, and it's unique, and I think that Claude Rains is just awesome in this. I love what he's doing in this film, because Claude Rains is just, I think he just represents more to what the mood of the film is, which is, as I've said in this review, it's a comedy. It's a comedy with like some haunting elements. So if you were to view it from that way, I think that you might, and that's ultimately how I started to view it. I think that you might come away like I am, where it's not bad, But if you were to view it any other way, you would probably not like this. So compared to Dracula, I think that Dracula is a better film. With this, it's there's definitely room for improvement. And if oddly enough, the remake that they did a few years ago with Elizabeth Moss, I think I might like that one more, because that one I think had a good, like, I think that it had more of a better layout. I think the story also had some interesting twist. But I'm also a sucker for just the classic era. So there is something to this that any film from the 30s or 40s, they're going to get automatic points just for the production that's on display. I don't know. I'd have to revisit the remake. It's been a while since I've seen it. I do remember really enjoying it though, so surprisingly enough. But for this, I think it was okay. And it's elevated mostly through Claude Rains and what he's doing on screen, and with the plethora of visuals, and they're just amazing. Like, those are just amazing. It's not just, oh, it's great to see them. They're being utilized really, really well. There's some good directing going on. I think that the just the overall production, just some of the the looks of the towns and stuff like that, especially with it in the snow, it looks really nice. It's just mildly problematic. That's the way I'll put it. It's not very problematic to where I was annoyed. It's mildly problematic, meaning that there are issues, but ultimately, I think that if you watch it from with a certain with a certain perspective, I think that you'll appreciate it to a certain capacity. Any other way will make it seem ridiculous. So judging it by how I see it as a comedy with some haunting elements, I think that it's okay. So, and I think that I think the remake might be better. So I love the look of the Invisible Man. By the way, I love the look of the Invisible Man. I think that this is. I just thought of this. Was that the inspiration for Paul Dano's Riddler in the Batman? I just thought of that. It just came to mind. Was that an inspiration for Paul Dano's Riddler, like the look that he has in that film? That just came to me. I don't know why. But yeah, I liked it, but it's not anything noteworthy as much as, say, like Dracula or films that would come afterwards, like Psycho. It's not on that level. But I had a laugh, and I think that it's in some capacity it's meant to be humorous, and it's meant to be taken that way. So yeah. So those are my thoughts on The Invisible Man. I thought it was okay. And you guys have your thoughts on The Invisible Man. If you guys have seen it, let me know in the comment section below your thoughts. Let me know if this setup worked. I didn't look at camera too much, so I hope to God that it wasn't cutting in and out. And someone comfort me about what I said with the British slang, because that really messed me up. I really thought I said that word. So yeah. So I need some comfort. So but yeah. So that's gonna be it for this review, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. And until then, being tomorrow for day 5, I will catch you guys then. So catch you guys in the next video. Catch you guys tomorrow.